Yeah.
So we're just waiting on. Okay, thanks. Okay.
You want me to just go?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. We have some technical difficulties here, but I'm just going to just go ahead and jump into my presentation. Welcome to Burn Abroad. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right camera. I should be looking at this one, right? And not my computer. Okay, awesome. So we're going to talk about how you can leave old career stereotypes behind and then really start building your personal brand. So you're probably wondering, who is this person standing in front of you? I'm about to tell you. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do, but we're gonna work this out. Hi, everyone. I am Bianca J. Jackson. I am a trainer. Specifically, I am a branding consultant. I help entrepreneurs, career women basically create their brand for themselves. So just to kind of give you a little bit of background on where I used to work. You're good? Okay. Where I used to work, why you should listen to me, and how I'm going to help you create brands for yourself, right? So I used to work for Marriott, United Health Group, National Geographic, and USA Today. I managed IT projects, really large ones, ones with really great budgets. And then also right now, I'm a 3-time entrepreneur. So I've done a really great job of building my own personal brand. So hopefully I'll be able to help you do that today. So I actually have an agenda here because agendas are always good. So we're going to talk about historic career brands for women. So I'm actually going to start at the 40s and make my way up. We're going to talk about, all right, I'm just going to use a little sliding thing here. We're going to talk about how you want to show up in the world. So basically deciding what brand you want to make for yourself. Don't let anyone make the brand for you. And then I'm just keep going this way. And how you can build your personal brand on LinkedIn. Now, so like I said, we are going to start in the 40s, but I really want to start with this quote. There is no force equal to a woman determined to rise. Now, this wasn't said by a woman, but that's okay. We'll forgive him. It was actually said by W.E.B. Du Bois, who was actually a pretty famous philosopher in the early 1900s and probably the late 1800s as well. So how many of you know this lady right here, Rosie the Riveter? Rosie the Riveter became an iconic image that career women, or women I should say, started to see in the 40s. So around, I think, World War I, World War II, the government used this as an icon to recruit women into work. So when all the men went off to war, they needed someone to build the bombers, to work in the hospitals, to even do construction. And Rosie the Riveter was the image, the icon that they used in order to recruit. So like I said, cultural icon. Some 19 million women went to work, believe it or not. And some of these women were moms. So can you imagine not only taking care of your homes, taking care of your children, but basically filling the roles of men that were no longer here in the States to be able to do work that they typically did when they were here. So that was just the first one. So this is where the term career women started. And it just kind of stayed with us for years. I want to say we're somewhere around 50, 60 years of using this term. So in 1950, well, I should say this. So when all the men came back from war, they basically made all the women go back into their homes, back into their kitchens. And the idea of a stepper wife. Now, I actually found this flyer, and this is actually a real flyer from the 50s. So this is a quote that came from The Good Wife. So if you can see here, it says, "Dinner is ready, the table is set. Men are hungry, and when they come home, they want a good meal. Is an important part of a warm welcome home. Refresh your appearance, apply fresh perfume, touch up your lipstick, and pinch your cheeks. Groom your children like the little treasures that they are." Now, can you imagine someone putting a flyer like this out now? There would probably be a mass riot, right? But this is actually a true flyer that was put out in the 1950s. And if you can you imagine leaving or having your husbands, your sons, your grandsons go away from war, they come back and you're doing their jobs. And then all of a sudden someone's telling you to go back into the kitchen and now you had to look a certain way, prepare the house, prepare the kids. So as you can imagine, 50s was like this boiling point for a lot of women here in the United States. So then what happened next? The feminist movement, right? Women's liberation. So the feminist, even to this day, has, I don't know, mixed connotations. Some people think it's good, some people think that it's bad. But as you can see, this woman is standing here right now. She has an equal pay with equal positions with equal pay sign. Now, these are some of the issues that women are still facing today, right? And this actually lasted through the 70s. You see a lot of iconic images where women are burning bras. They're standing outside with signs. They're fighting for the same things that we still fight for today, unfortunately. So let's talk about this, right? So I like participation. I should have said that before I started this. I want you to drop your responses in the chat. So let's talk about this. What are some of the challenges that are still the same between Rosie the Riveter, the stepper wives, and the feminists? So go ahead and leave that for me if you can. And then once you do that, also put in there what challenges are different or what have we solved since the 60s and the 70s when it comes to women in the workplace. And I'm not sure if we got some response to it. I can't see them quite yet, but I just want to make sure that you guys see how far we've come and whether or not things have changed, whether they are still the same, and then we can kind of talk about how to move forward. So we do have some responses. Okay, yes, what we got?
Diana says they are not treated equally in the workplace or at home.
Okay, so they're not treated equally in the workplace at home. Yeah, especially with coronavirus, we're seeing all types of stuff come up, right?
Stephanie says their ideas are being taken more seriously.
Okay, Stephanie says their ideas are taken more seriously. I like that. Okay, anything else that pops up, shows up? Anything else? Or do we have questions?
Still perceived as the weaker sex for Pamela.
Right. And we know that, especially if you've seen a single mom, there is nothing weak about any woman that is out there. So any questions, or I can keep going? We're good?
Yep.
Okay. So as you can see, a lot of you have mentioned some things that are still the same, some things that are different. I agree with all of them. But we don't have to take on these stereotypes. We don't have to take on these labels. We don't have to take on these titles if we don't want to, right? So it's totally up to us who we want to be in the world and how we're going to show up. So how do you want to be in the world? How do you want to show up? So we're going to start talking about defining personal branding here. So I'm not going to read this to you because I hate when people read to me off the slide, but I want you to be able to see this, right? So personal branding is basically people marketing themselves, right? You had to be very clear on how you want people to see you. So I can't remember the young lady's name who I asked if she was the CEO. But she said to me when she walked in, she goes, "Oh my God, Bianca, you have such a presence." Well, I was purposeful in what I wore today. I wanted bright colors. I wanted jewel colors. I wanted to have a presence. So when you saw me, you're like, oh, let me pay attention, right? So when you're thinking about what your personal brand is going to be very intentional. Where is it that you want to go with your career, with your business, and start dressing the part, start feeling the part, start thinking the part, start moving the part. And that's what personal branding is, and also professional branding. So it's about self-packaging. So this term actually came around in, I want to say what, the 1997 article by Tom Peters. So if you want to go look up where the origins of personal branding started, start there. So here are the elements of a personal brand. And I actually want you guys to kind of tell me, what do you think is the most important? So you can put that in the chat. Is it your image, how you look? Is it how you speak, your speech? Is it your beliefs? I almost jumped in there. what I wanted to say. Is it your relationships? Is it your hobbies, or is it your work? So put in the chat right now, what do you think is the most important element of your personal brand? And I just want to hear some responses.
Image first
Image.
thing people see.
Yeah, image is the first thing that people see. What else?
Beliefs.
Beliefs, okay.
Another image,
Image, okay.
And another belief.
beliefs.
Beliefs and images. Interesting. I think before coronavirus, that would have been different. I think most people probably would have said image and maybe speech, right?
A speech,
Yeah, speech, okay.
and then one has 4, image, work, relationship.
All of the above, right? Yeah, so it takes all these things to build a personal brand, and that's why it's important for you to figure out where you want to go and how you want people to perceive you, right?
Marilyn suggests that it is, are you able to capture your audience's attention?
Absolutely. So let me tell you about someone who does a really great job of that. So meet Bazuma St. John. So if you have no idea who this woman is, she goes by Badass Boz on Instagram, and she is totally that. Now you're probably wondering, would she wear this to work? Absolutely. She would tell you she would wear this to work. She by far is probably the most powerful woman in Silicon Valley right now. Not just woman, not just the most powerful Black person, not just the most powerful Black woman, but the most powerful woman in Silicon Valley. And here's why. I was telling Kate, who's in the room assisting us, that I've come in contact with this woman in real life 2 times so far. One where I've seen her on stage, and I was at a conference, and she was just as dynamic as she is in these photos in person, right? And then the other time was in 2018 at South by Southwest. I was coming out of the convention center, and she was getting out of a cab. And let me tell you, she's tall. She is about 6 feet tall. She had on a full body sequence cat suit with a really big Afro wig. I think it was a wig. I don't know. I didn't ask her. But she was going on stage to go speak to hundreds, if not thousands of people. Now, she says things all the time that she believes in showing up in as her authentic self. And it doesn't matter what she looks like. It's about what she can produce as her work, right? And she's just really cool, and a lot of people like her. Now, I want to talk a little bit more about this, because I think in general, up until a couple of years ago, if anyone showed up to work like this, or maybe even now, people are like, oh my God, is she crazy? Like, why is she in here with, a leather jumper on with some stars on? But this is how she goes to work, right? But let me tell you how successful this woman is. So Bazuma St. John really just recently took on the CMO position at Netflix. She is making $7 million. Tell me how old you think she is. She is 43. 43 years old, making $7 million. And the way she did this is by building a personal brand for herself. So as you can see here, I put down a few companies that she used to work for: Spike Lee, Beats Music, so that's Beats by Dre, Uber, Apple, and Ashley Stewart. Now, if you want to see this woman in action, go to YouTube and type in Bazuma St. John and Apple. She will come out there with her hot pink dress on. And I think this is when she grabbed the world's attention, because when you think about Apple presentation, everyone has the same uniform, right? Button down shirt, khakis, and Dockers, or whatever else they wear on their feet. She came out there with a big wig and a hot pink dress, and everyone just had to stop and say, who is this woman? And that's where I fell in love. I became like a fangirl at that moment, because I just really felt like she was being her authentic self, and therefore she gave other people to be their authentic self too. So I just want to make sure, any questions, comments? I can keep on moving. Okay. Awesome. So what happens when you have the effect of a personal brand, right? So when you can walk in a room, you package feelings and thoughts people have about you Well, basically, what I'm trying to say is, I'm sitting here and I'm talking about Bazuma Zane John. I have never said a word to this woman. I just happen to be 2 feet away from her. But every time I give this presentation, I always talk about her because she gives me hope. She gives me inspiration. I remember when I was in corporate America, and for years, I was so deathly afraid of dyeing my hair blue because I didn't want to be, quote unquote, the ghetto Black girl in the office. So I didn't. So by the time I left corporate, I dyed my hair blue. I made like a short video. I posted it on LinkedIn. And the video was only 6 seconds long. I like flipped my hair, you know, the hairdresser was like, you know, had like a ring light and everything. She made me feel like a superstar. But I told the story about how for so many years, I was so afraid of dyeing my hair blue because I didn't want to be that stereotype, that when I put it on LinkedIn, it was one of my most viral pieces of content. I didn't realize that there were so many people who felt that way. So when I see her and she's advancing in corporate America and she just had a $7 million payday, I'm like, well, you know, I'm about to go get me a sequence cast and go to work. I'm not saying if that's not your style, don't go do that. But the feelings and the thoughts that you give people as far as your personal brand when they think about you, you want to package that in some way. You want them to feel something special. Oh, you have something? Go ahead.
Rashida wants you to know she feels your pain, that she was scared to wear her braids for a very long time.
Yeah, Rashida, I feel you. So I'm from North Philly. All the North Philly girls, oh, you're from Philly too? Yeah, all the North Philly girls wear braids. So I didn't have an issue with wearing braids at work. It was always that fear of wanting to dye my hair and just wondering, would people take me seriously? I already look way younger than I am. So, and then I was in some really, high up companies like the ones that I mentioned. So I'm talking to C-level people all the time, and I always had to struggle with, you know, are they really paying attention to me? Are they doing the things they're doing because they think I'm really young and I don't know any better? Did you have something else?
Yes, Nakia says she goes to interviews with straight hair and then changes up once she gets the job.
You sound like a friend that I went to college with. She's like, she calls it the switcheroo. But no, I think that where we are now as a society, I think more people are more welcoming, right? And I don't think that there's a need to change up who you authentically are, right? If, like, even today, I came in with kind of like looking like a superhero, right? But I wanted to make a point, and that I would just say, just own who you are. And if people don't like it, then they don't like it. But you will find your tribe of people who will in the companies that want you to be yourself. Like, look at Bazuma, like coming up with sequins and cat suits, $7 million. I mean, you could be making $7 million if you wear your braids. So yeah, so let me start talking about that. So here's the next thing that I want to talk about, building your personal brand on LinkedIn. So I just want to put it out there. I mentioned the video earlier about the blue hair that I put on LinkedIn. So over the years, since the last recession, 2008, I've made it a point to build my LinkedIn following. So I've gotten up to what, 30,000 connections, which I think is the max. 42,000 followers. So, you know, when it comes to LinkedIn, I know a little something about the technology because I used to be in tech, right? But I knew it was important, especially when I left corporate America, to be authentically myself, because I would have these conversations with girlfriends and coworkers who feel like they can't say certain things, they can't wear certain things. If they speak up, then they're complaining, they're being difficult. And it's just like, forget what everyone else is thinking. Like, honestly, if you don't like something, say it, right? If you know you want a promotion, tell them you want a promotion, and then like find ways to get it. Just don't let anyone stop you, and don't let what you think other people are thinking about you stop you either, right? So let's talk about LinkedIn. So let's just kind of look at the steps here. And I just put a link up here just in case you guys want to talk to me. I don't think that there's that many people on here, but you can talk to me for free if you want to do that. So overall steps. So you want to identify who you are. Crush those limiting beliefs. Like, I don't know how important or how many times I need to say this to people, that sometimes the only thing that's standing in the way is you. And you think that you have all these barriers and all these people who don't want to see you win, right? That you convince yourself that you can't do something, that you shouldn't do something, you shouldn't say something because of what you think of yourself or what other people have told you, right? And then you want to match whatever your vision is of your future self to your LinkedIn profile. So I tell people all the time when they come to me and say, hey, Bianca, I want to transition careers. Like, I do part of this, a little part of this for my job, but I want to do it full time. So for an example, there was a young lady that I was working with that she was only getting job offers to be a personal assistant, executive assistant, secretary. But she was doing event planning as a part of her work. I think most admins and EAs do way more than people realize that they do, right? And she's like, I want to do more event planning. I said, well, let's just talk about your event planning and that you tell people you are an event planner. She's like, I can do that. I'm like, yes, you can tell them that because you have the skill set to do it. So if you have a vision for yourself, start thinking about what transferable skills you have right now that can get you to that vision of where you want to go. So that's my first part. The second part, or the first step I should say, is when you identify who you want to be, describe the characteristics you desire to exhibit and what goals you want to accomplish. So like the example where I said the woman wanted to become an event planner, we started to look at what skills do you need to be an event planner? Project management, communication, stakeholder negotiation. I mean, all these things are really important. So you want to talk about those things, especially when, I don't know why we do this as a society, but when someone says they are a secretary, people look down on that. Like, and I think up until, again, the coronavirus, if someone said, oh, I'm a nurse at a hospital, most people wouldn't even blink an eye, right? But now you say you're a nurse at a hospital, thank you so much. Like, it's so awesome. So you just never know how people are going to, how the world is going to change and how you can definitely position yourself for where you want to go. So yes, accomplishing the goals that you want to, identifying the goals that you want to accomplish. The second thing is crushing the limiting beliefs, right? I can't say this, so I'll just be completely transparent. I had a call this week with a friend of mine, and she sent me this really panicked message through Facebook and said, hey, I think I'm going to lose my job. And I was like, all right, girl, give me a few hours because I'm working on something. And by the time we got on a video call, she was like, she told me I had been at this company for 18 years. So she was one of those people who went straight out of college, went to a company and just never left and never even thought about leaving. And because of everything that's going on, they're laying off people. And she just kept thinking in her mind, that there was no other place for her to go. That this was now her identity, and if she lost it, she would be nothing. And I just want to let you know that you're way more than what your job is. You are a person with skills, talents, and you're powerful. So you just need to figure out where you want to take your skills and your talents and, you know, have that create the life that you want. One of the questions that I asked her, I said, what do you want out of life? Like, what do you want to do? And she goes, honestly, Bianca, I never thought about that. I said, well, you're at a really great point where you can, right? And actually, I want you to see yourself in this really powerful position because you can create the life that you are. She was like, I'm almost 40. You know, I don't have a family. I don't have kids. I don't know what I want to do. I said, well, figure it out. And like, if you want to talk to me next week, then we can talk about it next week. But you got to figure out where you want to take your life. I know my life goal includes me living on the beach. So everything that I'm doing is going to get me to living on the beach. And I'm very clear about that, right? So for you, whatever limiting belief you have, just really think about where you want your future to go and then knock down all those things that are standing in your way of getting there. So when it comes to LinkedIn, though, a lot of times people think that they can't say or they can't play up the skills that they have when it comes to LinkedIn if they don't officially have the titles, like, but you did the work. And I think a lot of times, especially in the US, titles are misleading anyway. They're extremely misleading. So if you can play up the skills that you have and start building those connections that you need to get where you want to go, even better, right? I like to tell people you want to remove such words from your vocabulary as can't, don't, and won't, because they are the devil. They really are. Because I think what someone says that you can or you can't, either one is right. Is whatever one you believe, right? So if you tell yourself you can and you start moving towards it and you start building the network and you start letting people know that this is what I want to do, then more of it's going to come your way. So for example, I took like a behind the scenes like 20 minutes ago. I'm like, hey, behind the scenes speaking. Why? Because I want to do more speaking engagements. So you have to show people what you want so more of it comes your way. And you can do that. You can do that very well on LinkedIn. So I want to actually know something right now. Name one limiting belief that you have, and let's talk about how you can beat it. So drop that in the chat. What do you think you can't do? And let's figure out how we can like knock this out of the way. I feel like I've been talking super fast. I'm gonna take a peek here. What's in here? All right, let me scroll down here. What limiting beliefs do you have? Lori says fly equals fly. That's funny, Lori.
Just to Rashida and
Yes,
Pamela.
got it, no problem. So yeah, I'll say this. One limiting belief I had at the beginning of my career was no one would take me seriously. I come from a blue collar family, right? So my family, my dad was a construction worker, and then he started working as a custodian. My mom worked in like a retail store, and then she became a stay-at-home mom. Me making it to college was a feat, right? Me going to grad school was a feat. Me buying a house was a feat. Me buying a commercial building was a feat. And it's just like, sometimes you need people in your life to tell you that you can do more because you've already done it. And we just don't sit down and just appreciate our wins, our small wins, our large wins, or whatever. So that's what I used to tell myself. I don't tell myself that anymore because I got to get to my beach house. Yes.
So Dionysia says that she is concerned, I lost it, that she would not be taken seriously.
Mm-hmm.
And Diana says she believes that she has no influence.
Okay.
And then I added that I frequently believe that I'm not good enough.
Ooh, Lord. So let's talk about those. The I'm not good enough. I think that comes from us doing a lot of comparison, right? We compare ourselves to other people and where they are in their journey, not realizing what struggles they went through. We just see them winning, right? And social media can be evil sometimes. Like, you think everyone's having a wonderful life if you just keep on scrolling through social media. But I just want to tell everyone watching that you are enough. You do have influence. You influence somebody. Someone's watching you. They believe in you. They take what you say as gospel, and you just don't. Just know you're powerful. I did a whole live about this. Like, just know you're powerful, and that you have power in your words, and words have power on you. Yes.
So we also have kind of two ends of the spectrum. We have someone who feels like maybe they need to take a step back to allow the husband's career so that they can be a caregiver for the kids.
Oh, well, yes. Caregiver for the kids, absolutely. But I was reading a story once where a woman purposely didn't take promotions because she didn't want her husband to feel like she was outsigning him or making more money. And what wound up happening in that relationship is that they got divorced. So after their divorce, she was now in a crippling financial situation because she didn't take all the promotions that she was afforded earlier in life because she was trying to appease his ego. So if you're taking care of kids, okay, fine, but don't not take promotions because you're trying to like make somebody else feel better. Yes, go ahead.
So we have a person who believes that they are too old, and someone else who feels that they don't really own what they've accomplished.
Sometimes I struggle from that too. I got a Pulitzer, and I don't tell a lot of people that. But my friend was like, every time he gets an opportunity, he's like, he'll introduce me. He's like, and she has a Pulitzer. But as far as the age thing, you're as young as you feel, right? And if you project that, oh, I'm old or I feel old, then people are going to possibly throw it back to you. So I would just say, I love learning from everyone, young and senior and seasoned. That's what I like calling it. I don't like calling it old, right? There's so much knowledge and wisdom in all people. It doesn't matter what age you are. So. Yeah.
Rashida has shared that she fears that people will think she was hired to fill a quota and that she has to do more to prove that that's not true.
Rashida sound like me to go to happy hour. Yeah, I mean, like, I know how that feels. So I went to Georgetown University, and like I said, I lived in a neighborhood, or maybe I didn't say this, I lived in a neighborhood in Philadelphia that was very segregated. So I went to all Black schools. So when I got to Drexel, it was the complete opposite, right? So I was the only chocolate drop in the room. And there were times where I felt like some of the students looked at me that way, like, oh, you got here because of affirmative action, right? not because you were really smart and you got a rocking SAT score, but because we needed to fill a quota. And sometimes I felt like that in corporate America too. I would just say, Rashida, if you can find a mentor, you can find somebody on LinkedIn who may be experiencing something or similar situations as you, and maybe still also in your industry, that might help with, you know, some of those feelings and some of those thoughts. So yeah, what else we got?
Donata said, that's right, I'm seasoned. So it's like the reframing from
Yes.
old to seasoned and the
Yes.
wealth of experience. Versus
Absolutely. And I think I know Donata. Hey, Donata. But yeah, there's a movie called The Intern, right? Where Robert De Niro played the intern. He was a former CEO. He was in retirement. He came back. I wish I would have a former CEO come and tell me how to run my business. I'm like, that would be awesome. But I think that there's value in anybody, like I said, at any age, because kids say sometimes the most insightful things. Simple, no fluff, straight to the point. And, you know, seasoned people will say things like, well, you know, that happened in 40, right? I'm like, well, tell me about it. tell me all about it. So I think that there's power. Donetta. Oh, yes. I'm sorry, Donetta. You are absolutely right. I do not pronounce your name. Yes, Donetta.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No. It's okay. I talk to her all the time and I still jack it up. So I'm bad Bianca. So I mean, when it comes to crushing limiting beliefs, like you are the first person. Oh, you have two more questions?
Two more, one's a question, one's a comment, and then one's a support.
Okay.
Marilyn says, being a COO, there are challenges of dealing with preconceived perceptions of who I am personally and professionally.
Mm-hmm.
And Cheryl says, I believe that there is power in our shared experiences.
Absolutely. And I think that we can't worry too much about what other people think about us. And to be quite honest, it's none of our business. When you spend a lot of time thinking about what other people could be thinking about you, you're not doing the thing that you are supposed to be doing. So I know it's hard not to think about it, but I don't know, just stand in your power, just stand in that vision of wherever you want to go, and you can like really make that happen. And when it comes to LinkedIn, I think that it's really important, one, to have that vision of where you want to be, and then start building yourself up to that vision, and also start surrounding yourself with the people who are going to help you get there, that ecosystem. So let's see what else we got here. I'm all in the chat.
It's powerful.
Yeah. So step 3, match your vision to your future self with your LinkedIn profile. So I like doing this exercise whenever I do this presentation live is, what does your profile say about you in 6 seconds? Does it speak to your greatness? Now, if you want to get someone to do this, like a friend of yours, or maybe your customer avatar, if you have a business, but like getting them to look at your profile and seeing if whether or not your vision is communicated through that profile. And I think that this is especially important for career women, because you want people to know who you are, who you serve, and the results that you bring, or the results that you can get within 6 seconds. And it's better if you can do it even faster than that. I want to tell you about my friend. She is in HR, specifically a DE&I specialist, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. And she was laid off from a company in California, and she made a really great use of LinkedIn. Like literally, she was posting her opinions, posting about news, just posting. Like she grew a massive following. And I would say massive in this case is about 10,000 people. But like whenever she posts anything, I'm talking like hundreds of people like comment and like it. And so she was really intentional about creating a community. But you know, when you encounter her, where she stands, so kind of like that belief, right? Those beliefs that we talked about in the personal brand, you know where she stands on certain issues. She believes that every company has a social responsibility and just corporate responsibility of making sure that they have diverse environments that are equitable. And not only are you're hiring diverse candidates, but they're inclusive, right? So what do they say? Diversity is like inviting somebody to the party, but inclusion is asking them to dance, right? So she is really intentional with that. So when she got laid off, she started applying, or I should say actually companies started coming to her. There were 3 or 4 companies, major companies, that were bidding for her to come work for them, all because she built a really strong brand for herself on LinkedIn. And I think she wound up going with EA in Texas, so Electronic Arts. So if you know anything about them, big major video company. Did we have something? Yeah, go ahead.
Could you repeat the quote on the DEI again, please?
Yeah, sure. So basically, with diversity and inclusion, right? So a lot of times companies like to say, "Oh, we got diversity and inclusion," right? But think about it like this: diversity is inviting somebody to the party. Inclusion is asking them to dance. So there's been plenty of companies that I've been in where they've hired diverse candidates, but there were no diverse candidates on their leadership board. There were no diverse candidates leading their leadership teams. It was just like their workers were diverse, but not their leadership was diverse. And I think at one point in my career, anytime that I wanted to go apply for a new job, the first thing I did was I went to their website and looked on who was on their management team. And that made the determination on whether I was going to apply or not, or accept the invitation to interview. So if you are on a leadership team, think about this. Look around your board, look around your C-level, and if there's no mix, you may want to start thinking about it because more candidates are starting to look at that.
They're loving this.
Oh, they're loving it. Oh, yes.
Can you take another question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Danetta
Danetta,
would
yes.
like to know if you think introverts have to do the same things that extroverts do to become successful. For example, use recorded video instead of appearing live.
We had this conversation. Me and Danetta have been talking about this for like a whole year. I am an introvert, believe it or not. I'm just a social one. I know what my limit is. So I've gotten more comfortable with doing live video. It didn't always start out that way. Like I would just record myself, upload it. But now because I've done it, I want to say I've done it every day this month, just about. So now it's just like going live. Okay, I go live in like 5 minutes. I went live like 20 minutes ago. So I think that live video, especially now, is helpful. Facebook. If you have LinkedIn Live, I would go live there because you catch people in the moment. They can say, yes, I want to watch it right now. But recorded video also helps because people get to figure out if they're going to like, know, and trust you in a matter of seconds. Whereas it's going to take several images, it's going to take several written posts, it's going to take several articles, and even possibly people having conversations with you multiple times. But that takes time out of your day. So if you post your videos, people can watch them at any point and just like, yay or nay. So I don't know. I love video, and she knows I love video. Anything else?
Couple requests to connect on LinkedIn.
Okay, yes, please do. So you guys will give me a reason to kind of drop some people. No, I refresh my connections every once in a while. Like, so here's my biggest pain point when it comes to LinkedIn, that people start profiles, but then they don't use them. So if I see that, I look through my list and I'm like, who is this person? All right, remove connection. Okay. That's what I do. So I clean them out sometimes. So I got 30,000, some people can do it. Anything else?
They're loving yes.
Okay. So yes. So make sure that you get someone to check out your profile, even if it's just for 6 seconds, to kind of give you honest feedback, right? I think sometimes when we work so hard on our LinkedIn profiles, you're like, we think this is great. And then you get someone to come in and like, oh, I'm confused. You're like, wait, how are you confused? It makes total sense to me. So make sure you do that if you have an opportunity to. I want to say this one says, surround yourself with greatness, right? So I believe in creating ecosystems. I call it an ecosystem. For people who want new jobs, new career opportunities, new business opportunities, new partnerships, is that you can't just go connect with recruiters. People think, I'm going to go on LinkedIn, I'm going to connect with all recruiters.
Trying to get them something.
Believe me, everybody has that same idea of going to connect with the recruiters. But if you can connect with the people who are doing the job that you want, the people who are hiring, not the people who are hiring, the people who that position will actually report to. If you connect with, I don't know, maybe somebody in a parallel department at the company that you want to work at, it works out really well. They say that there's three things, I'm gonna use 3 fingers here. 3 things that helps you get a job faster when you use LinkedIn. One is following the company. The second is connecting with employees at the company. And then I think the most basic thing is just having a profile altogether, but you want to have a profile that actually looks like you use it. And I tell people all the time, one of the telltale signs for me is when you have like that ugly blue constellation background that you don't take time and put something there. That doesn't mean you don't really use this and you don't really take it that seriously. So having a profile, following a company, and then being connected to the employees are the fastest way to get recruiters to actually reach out to you. Yes.
What do you think about people using LinkedIn like they would use Facebook, from Anika?
Well, I'll give you a little bit more specific. So here's the thing. There's been this long battle of how you should use LinkedIn. So let me just tell you this. I came across this as I was building like an online course. This video, some woman uploaded a picture of her making breakfast. You look confused. You're shaking your head. But let me just tell you this. This video had over 100 or so like likes. Yeah, you look surprised. 100 or so likes, like literally standing over the stove, flipping her eggs and onions and peppers and tomatoes, whatever else she had in there, but people loved it. So here's what I'm gonna say about people using LinkedIn as Facebook. You got to play to your audience. So whatever audience this woman had on LinkedIn, they love breakfast. So it just really depends, right? So if you're building an audience, let's go back to the young lady that I was saying who's in DE&I, right? She built a whole audience around diverse candidates, so people looking for jobs, HR professionals who are in the DE&I space, and also companies who want to change, right? And then also bloggers who write about these topics. So her ecosystem is very curated. So when she's going to post something, you better believe that they're going to engage with it. So going back to using LinkedIn as Facebook, it really just depends on who your audience is.
She was talking about posting personal items on your professional page. The other thing I would say, though, is that you have to think about yourself as a whole person. So
Yes.
very often your community service is really important to include in your LinkedIn profile, because that's part of who you are. That's really important for people to understand.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So it's interesting that that's a question, right? So I posted, I downloaded a video that I did on IG, like Instagram, and posted it to LinkedIn. And I wasn't saying anything specifically related to business or professional, but it was more personal development. I was talking more about being powerful and how words have power on your life and on your being, and how if you use affirming words that helps you feel better, you show up with different energy. Is that Facebook material? Absolutely. Is it IG material? Absolutely. Is it LinkedIn material? Absolutely. Because just as you said, we live at this intersectionality, right? We're not just work people. We're moms, we're aunts, we're uncles, we're granddads, we're grandmas. Like, I'm not saying post up your whole weekend with your grandkids on LinkedIn, but you could talk about, some of the challenges of being a working grandparent and helping out your children with their children during coronavirus, right? So a lot of that is happening. So it just really depends. Yes.
Dianisha has a question about working on her currently working on her personal blog. Would you still have a LinkedIn for that?
Have a link to the personal blog?
She said, would you still have a LinkedIn for that? I think
Meaning
she
a
means
LinkedIn page,
linked.
probably.
Yeah.
It depends. It depends on what the content of her blog is, right? So if the content of her blog is interior design, you might want to have a company page for that, so that professionals who are too busy or just like not, the core enabled, that they can find you and see the pieces that the rooms that you're creating. Or she can actually take the photos and videos of her creating the spaces and put it on her personal profile. So that helps to reinforce the personal brand that she's trying to put out there. So here's what I wanted you to do. So in the chat here, please drop your LinkedIn address and connect with each other. So if you were here physically in person, there's this really cool tool that you can do in the LinkedIn app where everyone connects together, but we gotta do it this way because everybody's at home. But that's what I would like for you guys to do. Connect with me also. And that's pretty much all I had. You can download, I have a free gift for you here. If you text Bianca Trains to 31996, you'll get my Lost on LinkedIn ebook. Do you have any other questions, comments?
No, we'd like to get
We'll put the certificates.
Oh,
Pamela back, and then we have to just remind them where they're going next.
okay, so you said roll it back,
And if you
unshare?
can't share the screen, then I can put the
There you go.
certificate.
How do you get LinkedIn to allow you to do LinkedIn Lives?
It's the same.
You gotta apply.
How many times?
Listen, I've applied twice and they still haven't approved me.
Oh, it's been a million times.
All right, I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Oh, I can make the host. So you can
Okay.
upload it. Everybody should be able to do that.
You said to repeat your text again.
Can they still hear me? Yes, they can still hear me. So, text Bianca Trains, BIANCA TRAINS to 31996. And if you didn't get that, just connect with me on LinkedIn and I can send it to you. So Bianca J. Jackson on LinkedIn. Okay, then Nika said she got it. All right, cool.
Yeah, I got it.
I need to make it my nose. It's not Pamela's camera. To broadcaster. Text. She's good.
It looks like it.
I'm going to open the link. The certificate.
They have been having trouble.
Oh, no.
Okay.
So we use the Google Drive link.
Is Pamela talking?
That's what I've been using.
I don't believe so. I don't see her.
Mm.
Okay, so can you post the certificate again? so
Yes,
we
I
can-
will do that right now.
Hello, everybody. This is Pamela Vines. I'm not sure if anybody's still on. I'm not seeing a notice, or nor do I have video, but I'm one of the sponsors for today's conference. And just to say hello, and I own True Public Relations and Vines Film. We are a Maryland-based PR firm and production firm, and we create compelling video and short film for business owners who want to take their customers on a cinematic and informative journey. So we do this so you can show, not just tell your customers all about your products or services. So if you are a business that's ready to include video in your marketing strategy, we're ready to create for you, because when Vines film, people watch. And just thank you, Bianca, for this amazing presentation. We learned so much. It just was always insightful and amazing and entertaining to watch you. So thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you've given us today. And I'm not sure if I'm still on, but everybody have a great day.
Afternoon keynote.
Hey, everybody, just wanted to let you know that the 220 keynote, you will go to the main page. So you can go to that page for the next session. Thank you and have a great day.